Okay. Welcome to our air monitoring webinar, where we will discuss how air quality data is collected, analyzed, and provide valuable information to the public. Today, we have esteemed representatives from various organizations joining us. Let's start by having each panelist introduce themselves, their work, and what they will share with us today. I will start off. My name is Jennifer Cantley, and I am honored to be your host for this critical webinar on air quality. As a mother of three wonderful boys, all of whom suffer from asthma, I have personally experienced the impact of poor air quality on my family's health. Interestingly enough, I was born and raised in Nevada, where I had never had asthma or allergies as a child. However, adulthood, I developed asthma, which unfortunately progressed to COPD after contacting COVID-19 and becoming a long hauler. Driven by my personal experience and deep commitment to improving air quality for the sake of my children and countless other families, I took the initiative to open Nevada's chapter of Moms Clean Air Force 7 years ago. Today, our chapter has grown to over 11,000 members, all advocating for clean air and healthier futures for our communities. Through my journey with Moms Clean Air Force, I have gained a valuable insight into air quality and its significance for our well-being. We are hosting this webinar because we want to share this knowledge with you, so that you can make more informed decisions for the health and the safety of your families. With the alarming increases of wildfires and the smoke engulfing our skies each year, it is evident that climate change is playing a significant role. Understanding what we breathe in and how we protect our loved ones is more important than ever. Today, our esteemed panel of experts will dive into air quality, exploring its effects on humans and animals. We will discuss particulate matter and its potential dangers for example, the impact of 2.5 particles, particulate matter particles, which are small enough to enter your bloodstream and wreak havoc on your health. The composition of PM 2.5 particles is a range from dust, soot, pollen, toxic substances like heavy metals, organic compounds, and chemicals emitted by the industries, vehicles, and other sources. These particles can carry harmful substances deep into our bodies, causing inflammation, oxidative stress, damage to our cells and our organs. Vulnerable populations, such as children, the elderly, individuals with pre-existing respiratory or cardiovascular conditions, and those with compromised immune systems are at increased risk of experiencing the adverse effects of PM 2.5 exposure. Our experts will shed light on the current state of air quality, the factors that are contributing to it, and most importantly, the steps we can take as individuals in our community to improve it. Please listen attentively, ask questions, and engage with our experts. Together, we can equip ourselves with the knowledge needed to protect our families and create a cleaner and healthier environment for future generations. Once again, I extend my grateful and heartfelt love for you being here today. Let us embark on this information journey together, empowering ourselves with the understanding necessary to safeguard our loved ones and our well-beings. I would like to first introduce Nevada Division of Environmental Protection. Welcome.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm Beth Gurney with the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection, and I supervise our ambient air monitoring group.
Thank you so much for being here. Next, we have Washoe County Air Quality Management.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matt McCarthy, and I'm an environmental engineer in the monitoring and planning branch of Washoe County Air Quality Management.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have Clark County Division of Air Quality.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Peter Nowinski. I have a privilege to manage
Okay. Welcome to our air monitoring webinar, where we will discuss how air quality data is collected, analyzed, and provide valuable information to the public. Today, we have esteemed representatives from various organizations joining us. Let's start by having each panelist introduce themselves, their work, and what they will share with us today. I will start off. My name is Jennifer Cantley, and I am honored to be your host for this critical webinar on air quality. As a mother of 3 wonderful boys, all of whom suffer from asthma, I have personally experienced the impact of poor air quality on my family's health. Interestingly enough, I was born and raised in Nevada, where I had never had asthma or allergies as a child. However, adulthood, I developed asthma, which unfortunately progressed to COPD after contacting COVID-19 and becoming a long hauler. Driven by my personal experience and deep commitment to improving air quality for the sake of my children and countless other families, I took the initiative to open Nevada's chapter of Moms Clean Air Force 7 years ago. Today, our chapter has grown to over 11,000 members, all advocating for clean air and healthier futures for our communities. Through my journey with Moms Clean Air Force, I have gained a valuable insight into air quality and its significance for our well-being. We are hosting this webinar because we want to share this knowledge with you, so that you can make more informed decisions for the health and the safety of your families. With the alarming increases of wildfires and the smoke engulfing our skies each year, it is evident that climate change is playing a significant role. Understanding what we breathe in and how we protect our loved ones is more important than ever. Today, our esteemed panel of experts will dive into air quality, exploring its effects on humans and animals. We will discuss particulate matter and its potential dangers for example, the impact of 2.5 particles, particulate matter particles, which are small enough to enter your bloodstream and wreak havoc on your health. The composition of PM 2.5 particles is a range from dust, soot, pollen, toxic substances like heavy metals, organic compounds, and chemicals emitted by the industries, vehicles, and other sources. These particles can carry harmful substances deep into our bodies, causing inflammation, oxidative stress, damage to our cells and our organs. Vulnerable populations, such as children, the elderly, individuals with pre-existing respiratory or cardiovascular conditions, and those with compromised immune systems are at increased risk of experiencing the adverse effects of PM 2.5 exposure. Our experts will shed light on the current state of air quality, the factors that are contributing to it, and most importantly, the steps we can take as individuals in our community to improve it. Please listen attentively, ask questions, and engage with our experts. Together, we can equip ourselves with the knowledge needed to protect our families and create a cleaner and healthier environment for future generations. Once again, I extend my grateful and heartfelt love for you being here today. Let us embark on this information journey together, empowering ourselves with the understanding necessary to safeguard our loved ones and our well-beings. I would like to first introduce Nevada Division of Environmental Protection. Welcome.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm Beth Gurney with the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection, and I supervise our ambient air monitoring group.
Thank you so much for being here. Next, we have Washoe County Air Quality Management.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matt McCarthy, and I'm an environmental engineer in the monitoring and planning branch of Washoe County Air Quality Management.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have Clark County Division of Air Quality.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Peter Nowinski. I have a privilege to manage a monitoring section for Clark County Department of Environment and Sustainability. I have been with Clark County over 20 years, and over my career, I accumulated 35 years of experience both in private and public sector.
Thank you so much for being here. Next, we have Russell with Nevada Wildlife Federation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Russell Coleman. I am the Executive Director for the Nevada Wildlife Federation. We were founded in state in 1951, and our vision is to have abundant wildlife freely roaming across a healthy sagebrush ecosystem, and all Nevadans having equitable access to outdoor opportunities. So obviously, as Jennifer mentioned, wildfires and air quality have a direct effect not only on Nevadans, but also our sagebrush ecosystem. So thanks for having me here today.
Thank you so much for being here. And last but certainly not least, we have the Desert Research Institute.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kristen Vandermolen. I'm an assistant research professor at the Desert Research Institute. And I do research primarily related to heat, wildfire smoke, and human health.
Thank you so much for being here. So my first question I have for us today is for NDEP. How do air quality monitors utilize advanced sensors and technology to detect pollution in our air? And what is the process for ensuring the accuracy of the reliability of the collected data before it's transmitted to the central database?
So there are many different types of monitors and sensors that are used to measure air quality. Each may be used for different purposes based on the resources available and the ultimate objective, as the monitors and sensors vary by type, cost, brand, model, and location and maintenance requirements. When talking about air quality monitoring, we often refer to the precision and accuracy of a device. Accuracy is the measure of how close we are to the actual concentration of pollutants in the air, and precision is how close the measurements are to each other. In the image here, the center of the bullseye on the target represents the actual air quality, and the black dots represent what the monitors or sensors say the air quality is. EPA has a list of approved monitors and methods designed to be as accurate and precise as possible for each pollutant. These are called regulatory grade monitors, and when they're operating correctly and are properly maintained, they are accurate, precise, and used for regulatory decisions. NDEP has a team of environmental scientists who regularly perform checks, calibrations, and maintenance on all the regulatory monitors. This guarantees the regulatory grade monitors keep reporting accurate and precise measurements. Monitors and sensors not approved by the EPA can be less accurate and/or precise, but also regulatory monitors that are not properly maintained may deteriorate over time and become less accurate and less precise. Pictured here is one of our monitoring stations. Air inlets can be seen on the roof of the station. The air is pumped directly to the monitors inside the station. To ensure the monitors are operating correctly and we are getting good data that is comparable to other monitoring stations around the country, EPA sets strict guidelines on where the stations are located and how often maintenance activities and quality control checks are performed. The monitors are located in climate-controlled shelters, and we have a team of people who look at the data on a daily basis to quickly identify any issues the monitors may have. Regulatory monitors report hourly averages, so it usually takes a couple of hours for the numbers to be posted on websites like airnow.gov. This is something to keep in mind during events like wildfire or smoke, when air quality can change very rapidly. In addition to that, NDEP reports the checked and reviewed data to the EPA database on a quarterly basis.
Thank you so much for that presentation. That was wonderful, very informative. My next question is for Desert Research Institute. After the data from air quality monitors is verified, how does the collection between your organization and the Nevada State Department of Environmental Protection work in analyzing and interpreting the information? And how is this work folding into the rural communities?
Sure. So Desert Research Institute and Nevada Division of Environmental Protection are currently collaborating on an EPA-funded project to expand air quality monitoring in rural counties in Nevada, in places where air quality monitoring in the past has either been absent or where it might be scarce. And so where people don't have data available to them on what the air quality is in their location. And so what you see here is the website or a snapshot of the website hosted by NDEP. You have the web address there, where you can find air quality information on the different monitoring stations that we have deployed across Story, Pershing, and Elko counties. So the website is active and people can get air quality information there now. At the same time, our objective in this project is not only to provide people with air quality information, but to make sure that they also have resources available to them to interpret it and make use of it if they choose, say, in taking protective action. So we've also been working with our local partners in each of those counties, which include the Story County Office of Emergency Management, Pershing County Office of Emergency Management, and the National Weather Service office in Elko, to create a series of information materials. And are you able to advance the slides, Jennifer? For some reason, I'm not able to advance them on my end.
I don't, but maybe pushing into there.
There we go. So one example of information materials are two sets of infographics that we've created. And there's one set that has an infographic corresponding to each AQI category, and that provides basic guidance for different groups related to outdoor activity. And so you see the yellow infographic here is an example of one from that set corresponding to the AQI category of moderate and providing basic guidance for seniors, children, and at-risk individuals, outdoor workers, and healthy adults. We have another set of infographics that we created that we just refer to as sort of the essential concept set. You see an example here in blue, helping people to understand how to select a good portable indoor air cleaner. And other infographics in this set address other essential concepts, things like helping to identify who is at risk, identifying symptoms of wildfire smoke exposure. So the idea is that our partners in each of the three counties can utilize these infographics over their social media to help inform the public of what the air quality is in their location. Again, collecting data from those monitoring stations that we've deployed, and then also providing them with supplemental information like you see in the blue infographic, the essential concept set. At the same time, we understand that not everybody has access to data online, so not everybody might be able to visit the Rural Nevada Smoke website or may not be receiving information from partners in the counties about air quality. And so in another example of how we're helping to inform the public, we have created a series of AQI hanging wall dials. And the credit for this really goes to the Story County Office of Emergency Management. This was their idea for how to get AQI information to the public. So you just see the graphic design version of it here, but it is a 3 by 2 foot AQI wall dial that can be hung in public places like senior centers, libraries, courthouses. The idea being that, for example, when seniors go to the senior center at midday to get their lunch, senior center staff can look online, see what the air quality is, and then move that black dial to the corresponding category so that at least in that moment of the day, seniors get a snapshot as to what the air quality information is. We're additionally working on a data interpretation guide to complement these resources so that, for example, in addition to just providing air quality information, say at the senior center staff can also reference the data interpretation guide so that if they get asked questions about the air quality, they're equipped to answer them.
What a great presentation. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. That was great knowledge, especially for the rural communities. As someone who lives in the rural communities, I had no idea what air quality was when I was a child growing up. And as I got asthma and started learning about air quality, that was very helpful and useful for my family to know what to expect and how to act. Our next question is so we want to discuss the colors. We kind of saw it on the presentation that we just saw of the air quality index and what it means and how the public can interpret them when the monitors are down. So Washoe County, my next question is for you. Please explain how the air quality index, the AQI, and how it works, including the standardized scales and color code levels used to categorize the air quality. Specifically, what does each color represent, ranging from green to yellow, orange, red, and how do the colors indicate the corresponding air quality levels?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jennifer. Let me go ahead and share my screen, just to have some material to point to. So first off, the AQI is a tool that helps convey to the public the health-related concerns of air pollutant exposure. The AQI is standardized across all of the different pollutants so that the health benefits of each different pollutant can be compared relative to one another. So the AQI goes on a scale of 0 to 500, with 500 being the most severe, starting with the color green, which is an AQI of 0 to 50. That means the air quality is good and poses little to no risk to all people. Next up is yellow. That means the air quality is moderate with an AQI of 51 to 100. The air quality is okay at that point, although some people that are unusually sensitive to air pollution might kind of start to feel it. Next up is orange, which is unhealthy for sensitive groups, or what we call USG. That AQI goes from 101 to 150. Basically, the AQIs below the USG is generally satisfactory to most people. But when it hits USG, members of sensitive groups, such as children, older adults, people with heart or lung diseases, or people that are very active outdoors, might start to feel affected. This is also the point at which the AQI corresponds with the National Ambient Air Quality Standards. The National Ambient Air Quality Standards is the health-based air quality standards that the EPA requires all areas to meet. Sensitive groups are going to be the first one to feel the effects of the exposure at this level. And then going forward, red is unhealthy with an AQI of 151 to 200. This is where members of the general public will start to feel effects. Purple is very unhealthy, 201 to 300. This is where there's an alert. The health effects of for everyone is increased, and prolonged exposure is going to lead to problems. And then maroon is where it maxes out at hazardous with an AQI of 301 or higher. And this is when you start to get into emergency conditions where everyone needs to do what they can to reduce their exposure. So when we talk about AQI, I kind of like to talk about the way I, as a air quality professional, start to reduce my exposure. I am a relatively young and healthy adult. So basically, once it gets to unhealthy for sensitive groups, if I'm planning on doing something outside that's strenuous, or I'm going to be active outside, I'll look to maybe forego those plans and do something else inside. Just to kind of give everyone a baseline, everyone has their own feels their own effects to air quality impacts. So the AQI is kind of the backbone of helping people make informed decisions of what to do when we have high concentrations of pollutants.
Thank you so much. That is a great visual, especially for someone where I didn't know what people would say. Oh, it's a yellow air day. I had no idea what that meant until my doctor explained it to me. So I think it's really important information for the public to have so they can make those healthy decisions for their families. Thank you so much for that. So next, we're going to dive deeper into ground level ozone and how it affects our health. Clark County, this is for you. How does ground level ozone, a harmful pollutant, form through the reaction of sunlight with emissions from vehicles, industry activities, and other sources impact our human health? Specifically, what are the potential respiratory problems and existing health conditions that can arise due to the high ozone levels in the air?
So I prepare a presentation, let me share it, about can you see it?
Yes.
About health effects of ozone, tropospheric ozone. So So ozone in atmosphere, let's talk about ozone, what ozone is. Ozone is a molecule which consists of 3 oxygen atoms. It's very reactive, colorless gas. And it's very important to make distinction between unwanted ozone and the ground level in a troposphere and a stratospheric ozone, which is about 20 miles above the ground, which is a good ozone. The ozone in the stratosphere shields air from or life on Earth from harmful UV rays from sun. And a ground ozone at the ground level, where we breathe, can be harmful to human health. And the ground ozone level is one of the nation's most common pollutants. And the formation of ozone prior to 1970s, the mechanism of production of ozone and the surface was not very well understood. Now we know that ozone forms in 2 pollutants, so-called ozone precursors, volatile organic compounds, and nitrogen oxide photochemically react in sunlight. And common sources of those pollutants include motor vehicles, refineries, industries, power plants, and consumer products. There's also natural sources of ozone, and natural sources of VOCs and NOx, the ozone precursors, which contribute to ozone formation, including terrestrial vegetation, wildfires, and volcanoes. On a note, less than 1% of stratospheric ozone from the upper levels of the atmosphere is transported to the ground level. And also important in ozone chemistry is transportation of ozone. There is large variation in seasonal and regional variation of ozones, reflecting meteorology and transport conditions. Ozone concentrations are often not peaked at the cities where the pollutants are transmitted. Usually they can be transported downwind and peak outside the towns. Surface ozone can be transported not only in regional scale, such as from California to Nevada, we have a problem with that, but also on the intercontinental scale, for instance, from Asia to North America. And by some estimates in our studies, about 30 to 50% of ozone in the Las Vegas Valley is transported from California. And there's a graph from EPA site, which shows the distribution of ozone in the atmosphere. As you can see, the solid line represents concentration of ozone starting at ground level. It's about when I pointed the cursor, about 15, 20 ppbs. And you can see in a stratosphere, in about 20 miles above the ground, ozone concentration can reach a few thousand ppbs. And that's the ozone which shields us from UV radiation. And natural levels of ozone can be enhanced by the concentration of pollutants and the production of photochemical smoke. And you can see those concentrations reach even hundreds of ppbs, parts per billion. So let's talk about bad ozone or tropospheric smoke. You can see that in the picture that the 40s, when you didn't know how ozone is formed, there was not much control of the ozone pollution. You can see LA, quite a big smoke, thick smoke. And today we have better control of the ozone emissions, ozone formation and control of ozone precursors. You can see a little better. But tropospheric smoke or bad ozone is harmful to human health, and levels of ozone are present in about 35 to 30 ppbs per volume. Those are natural concentrations, but however, due to the pollution, they can increase to even to hundreds of ppbs. Ozone is a very potent oxidant and can be harmful to both human health and vegetation. Also is a greenhouse gas, an ingredient of smoke. By EPA standard, NRA is considered non-attainment unhealthy when ozone concentration is equal or above 70 parts per billion. And ozone is highest during the hot days, during the stagnant conditions, which allow for accumulation of pollutants and photochemical production of ozone. And the health effect of ozone, it's depending on the exposure. Ozone can cause coughing, sore, scratchy throat, make it more difficult to breathe, inflame damaged airways, make lungs and more susceptible to infection, aggravate diseases, lung diseases like asthma, emphysema, and chronic bronchitis. Also, ozone can increase frequency of asthma attacks. So ozone can affect even healthy adults. However, there are some vulnerable populations which are at the greater risk, namely people with lung disease, such as asthma, children, including teenagers, since the lung is still developing, so ozone can affect those development. Older adults, people who are very active outdoors, and of course, outdoors workers. So how can you protect yourself? You can use air quality index to plan your activities through environment flash. It's application which portrays AQI, air quality index, AirNow website, or even our Department of Air Quality website. You can choose less strenuous activities during high ozone days, take more breaks, reschedule activities to morning when ozone tends to be lower, and move activities when the ozone level highs inside. And there's AQI, which Matt talked about it. It's specific for ozone. You can see the concentration of ozone up to 54 parts per billion. The air is good, it doesn't affect most of the population. In about concentration between 55 to 70 parts per billion, it's moderate, it's yellow. Ozone is can affect unusually sensitive people. In about level above 71 ppm, 71 ppm to 85, ozone becomes unhealthy. And the levels about 86 to 100 105 parts per billion, ozone is unhealthy. And of course, as the concentration increases to 200 ppb, it becomes very unhealthy. And it's very too sensitive group should avoid all physical activities. And above 200 ppbs, ozone levels hazardous, and everyone should avoid any activities outdoors. So how can we help? Reducing ozone pollution. You can turn off the lights, which we are not using, drive less, using carpool, public transportation, bike or walk, keep engine tuned, don't let engine idle, stop refueling when the pump shuts off, tighten your gas cap. All those measures limit VOC pollutions. Inflate tires, use low VC paint and the cleaning products, and store VOC products so they cannot evaporate. In the conclusion, it is crucial to differentiate between ozone in the troposphere and the ground level, and stratospheric ozone, which is protecting us from UV radiation. A major source of tropospheric ozone, it's due to gas phase photochemical formation, which involves oxidation, volatile organic compounds, and nitrogen oxides. High levels of ozone are present in the surface area in densely populated areas. Ozone is also very powerful oxidant and can have detrimental effect on both human health and vegetation. Certain individuals, such as children, elderly, those with respiratory conditions, may be more susceptible to the adverse effect of ozone exposure. And staying informed about air quality index and taking precautions can help reduce exposure to high ozone levels and protect our health. Thank you. That will be.
Thank you. That is really important information, because I don't think, at least from my experience, especially with working in the rural communities, I've seen that not many people know what ground ozone is. And especially with wildfire danger, that's when it really came to my attention. And as someone who has COPD, breathing when ground ozone is up, it is extremely hard. And I even found that my skin would get itchy. I would know, and I was so thankful for the Carson City ground ozone reader for my family to know when it's safe to go out, because we can't see it. It's not like the smoke. It's something to definitely be aware of. Okay, so our next question is going to be open for NDEP, Washoe County, or Clark County. It's going to be addressing, can we explain how air quality impacts not only the outdoor activities in Nevada, but also the well-being of the state's wildlife? Please elaborate, but I would love for Nevada Wildlife Federation to start with this.
Yeah, thanks. No, that's a great question. And I've kind of had to answer that myself before I really got into air quality and climate combating climate change. And so in Nevada, and I realize I'm probably the only person on here without a master's or doctorate. So I'm going to try to speak at the 30.
I don't have a master or doctorate either, so.
Perfect. But I think here, at least in Nevada, in our state, that if you're going to talk air quality, I think you have to mention wildfires because that is such a large source of our poor air quality. And when you mention wildfires, I think you also have to tie that in with drought because very often one affects the other. And with our Nevada outdoor community, we are roughly a $4 billion outdoor industry. And, that puts us behind mining and tourism, but still very much a viable economic driver here in the state. And, I know a lot of my friends have moved to Nevada solely because of the outdoor opportunities that this state offers. And, when you tie that in with wildlife, you're really talking about landscape health. And over the last maybe 10 or 15 years, the USGS came out with a study saying we're losing about 1.3 million acres every year of sagebrush ecosystems throughout the West. And as a sagebrush state, we are largely a part of that. And most of that loss of habitat is due to drought and wildfires. And so, as humans, we directly see the effects of poor air quality when those fires go through. But with wildlife, it's essentially burning their homes where they have to go to a new area and more likely than not compete with other animals on the landscape, for those limited resources that are dwindling year after year with our decline of sagebrush ecosystems. So that's really how, air quality and wildfires do affect wildlife. And in terms of outdoor rec, boating, camping, and hunting and fishing pretty much are the top 3 economic drivers for outdoor rec in our industry. But again, if you have drought, you're not going to have boating. And with the camping and hunting, if it's too unhealthy to be outside, well, then you're certainly not doing those two either. And to kind of give you some quick facts, between 2020, which was obviously, we all know, COVID lockdown, when a lot of campgrounds and boat docks were closed because of the pandemic. And then right after, we had 2021 wildfires. And our outdoor economy took about a 30% decline those 2 years compared to we'll say normal years because of those two factors. People weren't allowed to go outside, mainly whether it was because of the pandemic and COVID, but I see it being more and more of a normal thing to not be able to go outside because of wildfires and the air quality. And that's going to hurt our economy as well as our mental health. Speaking from personal experience, I actually moved here in March of 2020. So I got to experience it basically as soon as I moved into the state. But before, looking at the AQI, and I used airnow.gov, which was a great resource as well. And I felt like I was on that probably 4 times a day. But in the beginning of the wildfires in 21, I was like, okay, I'm only going outside if it's green. And it was never green. It was, orange at the best. And so that lasted about 2 weeks. And I said, okay, I'm going out if it's yellow. And then, a month later went by and I'm going out if it's orange. And, right now I'm basically only not going outside if it's maroon or purple. And to kind of give you a little more of a personal story, I grew up back east. And so when the Canada wildfires were going across, I had everyone basically that I still keep in contact with back east say, oh, we were in the red, it's horrible. I'm like, we were in maroon for like 4 straight days. And they responded, what's maroon? And so I just think that, monitoring air quality is going to be very vital for a number of reasons, both for, not only our personal health, both physically and mentally, but, I think it's going to be a good gauge of how the landscape is doing out there, outside of our doors as well, because, our mule deer populations are declining, our sage grouse bird populations are declining, mainly through wildfires. And so, wildfires have a very lasting effect both on humans and the landscape and our wildlife. And, for obviously today we're talking air quality, but wildfires are kind of be the new thing out west, and it seems like they're going to be the new thing back east too. And in 30 years of me living back east, I never had a wildfire smoke day, but now they're getting the joys of experience when what we've lived through these past couple of years. And unfortunately, it's not something to look forward to. But the actions that we can take both personally and through our state and federal legislation hopefully can at least slow that down for future generations. But I'll give some time for other people to talk as well.
I just wanted to say thank you for those personal stories, and I can relate with you as a born and raised Nevadan. Here, I grew up in Douglas County, and the worst fire that I remember when I was a child was on Kingsbury, our way up to Lake Tahoe, and it lasted for about a week, but it never filled the air. Like, we could see the mountains the whole time. And when my son was born in 2013, that was the first fire that I really remember seeing from Yosemite that came over, and we couldn't see the mountains. I felt like I got lost driving sometimes because the smoke was so thick, of not knowing exactly where I was at that moment because I couldn't see past our car. And my husband, he's from New York, and he's been looking at all the videos and everything too, and seeing their air quality. It's the first that he remembers anything on the East Coast as well. And us here on the West Coast, I agree with you. The mental toll it took on us, especially these last 3 years with the pandemic. I was telling city of Clark County earlier that I couldn't, my children were literally climbing the walls because the pandemic had us shut in the house. And then when we finally could go outside a little bit, I couldn't even see our back fence because the smoke was so bad. So for 3 months, we were literally trapped indoors. And my kids, I'm not joking, climbed the walls to get their energy out. And what that does to us emotionally as well, being Nevadans, I'm used to camping my whole life, going out, swimming at Lake Tahoe. And when that's taken away, and, we were starting to make plans to only do camping in May, because the fires were starting by the end of May, going through September, sometimes October. So I'm really appreciating the clean air right now and thankful that we have clear blue skies to go enjoy our outdoors. So thank you so much for that answer. I did want to direct my next question again for all of you. Where are these monitors placed in Nevada? And are there any expansion plans? Could you provide more details about the 132 air monitor projects in 37 states allocated by $53.4 million from President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act and the American Rescue Plan? Specifically, how do these projects aim to enhance our air quality monitoring in communities across Nevada, particularly those underserved, historically marginalized, and overburdened by pollution, excuse me. Furthermore, how do these initiatives align with President Biden's Justice 40 initiative? Let's start with NDEP, and I would also love to hear from Desert Research Institute about where these new rural air monitors are being set up. I know we got a map, but if there's anything else that we would love to hear about.
So for NDEP, we have 5 PM10 or dust monitors located in Pahrump and Elko. We have 3 PM2.5 or smoke monitors located in Gardnerville and Carson City. And we have 3 ozone monitors in Carson City, Fallon, and Fernley. Most of EPA's monitoring requirements are based on population. So NDEP actually has more monitors in more locations than is required. And most of them are in areas that are underserved, marginalized, or overburdened by pollution. We are using American Rescue Plan funding to update our rural regulatory monitoring stations with better and more reliable monitors that require less maintenance than our current monitors. And we applied for the Inflation Reduction Act funding in April and are still waiting to hear back. If we get funded, we're planning to acquire low-cost sensors, test them, and provide them to several school districts in rural Nevada.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
So through the collaborative project with NDEP, we have installed 3 monitoring sites in Story County, 4 in Pershing County, and 4 in Elko County. And Jennifer, as you mentioned, if folks go back and reference that map, all of the little red dots on the map represent a monitoring station, and you can click on each one to see what the air quality is. We do also have a couple of other monitoring stations that appear on that map. One in Carson City and one in Sparks. And I believe there will be one forthcoming in Reno and Spanish Springs. And those additional sites are really being implemented for purposes of validation. So the Reno, Carson City, Spanish Springs, and Sparks monitors are all being co-located or implemented alongside other pre-existing monitors, so that we can kind of see how the new monitors that we're deploying in the rural counties are performing in relation to those other kind of higher grade monitors that have been there for a while. And the project that we've been working on is really a pilot project. So we are kind of, like I said, still evaluating certain aspects of it. And the idea, though, is that, you know, if the sensors, if the monitors perform well in the rural counties where they are currently, then, you know, we can down the road think about exploring additional funding opportunities if they come about to support more rural counties in acquiring monitoring.
Thank you. From both of your answers, that it makes my heart extremely happy, because 7 years ago, when I first opened the chapter for Moms Clean Air Force, when I learned about air monitoring systems, I found that the only air monitor system that Douglas County had at the time was up in Tahoe, which wasn't giving us accurate information down in the valley. And as I had meetings with then Congresswoman Jackie Rosen, but now Senator Jackie Rosen, she really took an interest in helping, and so did Congressman Amadei, and working with NDEP. And we've also worked with DRI, and learning how to, it's like seeing it all coming true. It makes my heart extremely happy. So that way we know that every community is getting the accurate information that they need to protect their families. Did anybody else have any updates or information that they wanted to give? Oh.
I can go, or Peter, did you want to go?
Go ahead, Matt. I go
I'll
after you.
just real quick talk about Washoe County. So we have 7 regulatory monitoring stations, kind of mixed in between. Each of them is a mix of ozone, gaseous monitors, and particulate matter monitors. Much like NDEP, most of our air monitoring stations are located in historically underserved communities. And actually, you brought up some of the extra funding that's coming from the federal government. We were lucky enough to receive $213,000 as part of the American Rescue Plan to expand our network and open a new monitoring site west of Reno in the neighborhood of Verdi. That area represents a spatial gap in our network, and then it also is where a lot of transported pollution, such as transported wildfire smoke, or even transported ozone, hits our community first. So we're hoping that it'll act as almost an early warning station for the rest of our county.
Thank you for that update. That's amazing. Peter?
So let me share my screen again. Can you see that? I hope. So Clark County operates 18 air monitoring stations. They're located throughout the Clark County. You can see those stations here. Looks like air quality is good. They're all green. And that's our website. And those stations are, the number of the stations can vary depending on special studies, closures, temporary initiatives. And the unique shape of Las Vegas Valley and the wind patterns contribute to locating the stations different areas. You can see most stations are concentrated within the valley, within Las Vegas Valley, though we have a few stations in lying areas like Indian Springs and Virgin Valley. And also our monitoring network encompasses sub-networks of different air pollutants. For instance, for ozone, you can see the ozone sites. We monitor for particulate matter, PM10, PM2.5, also for ozone precursors like nitrogen dioxide. You can see those sites operating. And some sites also for sulfur dioxide, so one site. And so our present monitoring efforts concentrate mainly on particulate matter, so PM10 2.5, and ozone and its precursors. Data is collected 24/7, streamed through the sites, and you can access information practically 24/7. And also, if you like to look at a closer, if you hover to any of the sites, you can see how it looks. You got a picture when it's located, concentration of the measuring pollutant. In this case, it's ozone. You can also have some more information. Actually, not on this one, I guess. But you can also see daily feed, maybe here. No, we don't have this feed right now. And also under inflection, we expanded our network with few sites just recently, adding sites in the Monte Edge and the Liberty High School in the southern part of the valley. And also we added site in the Walnut Recreation Center, which is site in the northwest of the northeast of the valley. Also, all the Inflation Reduction Act, we apply for the grant, still waiting for it, to monitor black carbon, which is one of the components of the wildfire smoke and particulate pollution.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Russell, I think I saw you.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to Matt's flag real quick with the federal funding for the American Rescue Plan, or from the American Rescue Plan. It was great to see that Washoe County was able to get that $213,000, but I did want to flag that the tribal communities here in northern Nevada got roughly about $700,000 to establish air monitoring systems as well. And I certainly feel like that is a very important, underserved community that I was very pleased to see that they're going to have those resources in order to, make those decisions that are critical for, our physical and mental health.
Yes, I particularly was really excited too. I've been working with the McDermott tribe out in Nevada since 2021 and helped install a purple air monitoring system out there so we could see what was going on with the air quality, and had several meetings with the sister tribes as well, educating about what air quality is. And so seeing that they're going to have more information to help their health makes my heart extremely excited too. So again, I just want to thank you. And I heard we've been saying particulate matter 2.5 and particulate matter parts per million. You see the ppm on there, and you see 10. That's been brought up a couple times. I know for myself, when I was a civilian, I didn't know what that meant. And in the easy way of when you see the ppm, when it says 10, that's thick enough that you can see it with your eyes. That when I say, like, I could see it outside my door, it's at parts per million at 10. So when you see that on those charts, that means you can see it visually. The 2.5 is small enough, like I said at the beginning, to get into your bloodstream. So it's really important to look at those two measurements that you hear these wonderful experts talking about. I let me just double check that I got to all of my notes, because this has been so informative, and I hope to do another one with you all. And I really want to thank our panelists for everyone who's joined us today. Remember, staying informed about air quality is essential for protecting our health and the well-being of our communities. Visit their websites, join their virtual webinar to see what other information we have as we do more of these. So that way we let the general public know what's new, what's coming, and how you can be better informed. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.